We've got NFL insider Jordan Schultz with us to make all of this make sense. So welcome, Jordan. How did we get here with Hassan Reddick?
Yeah, it really comes down to, I think, trust, Joy. And we talked a lot about that word throughout this process and the lack of trust that Hassan felt from the Jets dating back to what we discussed. And I don't want to go back into it too much, but basically he was promised a new contract in good faith if he showed up to the press conference after the trade in March. That didn't happen, and hence the holdout. What the Jets have now done, which I think made a big impact for Hassan and his new representation, Drew Rosenhaus, was forego the $12 million in fines that he had accrued basically through the first 7 weeks. That told Hassan, okay, I can work now in good faith, knowing that I'm not going to forego all that money and potentially get a new contract. But I think realistically, the adjusted deal puts him in a good place to be, A, incentivized, and then potentially get a massive payday at 30 years old next offseason. But another part of this, too, is what kind of shape is he in? And I've talked to Hassan quite a bit over the last month or so. He's in phenomenal shape. He's been training twice a day in New Jersey, obviously not at the facility. But that tells me what I think is really important as well to the Jets, which is he's not going to be on any type of significant pitch count. The Jets need him, too. Remember, they have lost Jermaine Johnson, their Pro Bowler for the season. And I think when you look at what the Jets want to do under Jeff Ulbrich, the interim head coach, they do not want to blitz. This is a guy who believes in a four-man pressure and then play it out. The Jets have been blitzing 30% of the time this season because they have not had their full arsenal of pass rushers, including Hassan. They obviously traded John Franklin Myers and let Bryce Huff go to Philadelphia. Now you think about what that number can dip back to. It'll get back to under 20%, which is where it was under Jeff Ulbrich. And that will allow this team to protect the battered secondary because really right now, Sauce Gardner is really the only guy playing that is really a regular starter.
So he feels like he's going to get all that money back through these incentives?
Well, he'll not only does he not have to pay the $12 million in fines, but the incentives will allow him to potentially get some, if not all of it back. But also now he doesn't feel like he's playing from behind. I think that was really important to him going into this renegotiation with Drew Rosenhaus was, I don't want to feel like I have to get all caught up right away. And listen, one of the great parts about Hassan Reddick, and I asked one of the Jets defensive staff members this, and this was something that was echoed to me during his time in Philadelphia, was he also plays the run. He is a pass rusher at his core. He's one of only 3 pass rushers, including T.J. Watt and Myles Garrett, to have 10-plus sacks in 4 seasons in a row. But he's also someone that can play the run. I remember doing a story on him about 2 years ago in Philly, talking to that defensive staff, and they would say, we call him the offense or the defensive weapon. We call him a weapon because he plays the run. It reminds me a lot about Michael Bennett, who was another really good pass rusher in Seattle, who was a big-time 10-plus sack guy, but also someone that could play the run. And the Jets need that because they have really been at their worst defensively against the run this season and over the last 5 years.
Hey, Jordan, what's up, man? You know, it's probably a bad time to have that plaque behind your head, but that's okay. I'm gonna give you a pass.
Well,
today.
That's why I did it, just for you, Key, because the Yankees are going to take this thing in 4.
Okay. 4. Wow.
No, I'm not. I'm kidding. Yanks in 6.
Okay, I'll let you get
4
away.
better.
I'll let you get away with that. But Jordan, I want to ask you, was there any conversations, to your knowledge, about moving on from Hassan Reddick, given the fact of where the Jets are in the season and right before the trade deadline, that they're so far out of it, in my opinion, to get to where they want to be, they could have recouped their trade value and just moved on from him instead of doing all what they did to get him to come back?
It's a great question, Key, and that's why they gave him a small, basically 12-hour window this past week to try and negotiate with another team a trade, knowing that it was pretty unlikely to happen. But they considered that, but what they considered even more was that if he plays well and leaves, they'll get a comp pick back that could recoup some of what they gave up, which I believe was a 3 to Philly. So, listen, that was under consideration, but they felt all along, and really the key here was Willie Johnson. He's the one that really came in and got this deal done, fixed it, if you will, with Drew Rosenhaus to make sure Hassan Reddick was a Jet for at least the second half of this season. So to answer your question, There was a brief consideration to trade him. It never materialized because I think a lot of other teams, while they liked the player, were worried about the contract. The Jets, and specifically Woody Johnson, were able to mend that situation.
Mm-hmm. Jordy Bush, what up? Paul P. in the house. Hey, man, I just want to ask you, with such a long layoff that Hassan Reddick has had, how much of an impact do you think he can make this Sunday?
Against New England, I think he'll make an impact, but I think what the Jets look at, Paul, was if we're going to get back into this thing at 2-5, we're going to need a pass rush. So I'll say this weekend, he won't have a significant snap count. It'll take him. He told me he thought it would take him a week or two to really get into shape, right?
Yeah.
Because there's being in great shape, and as you know, there's being in great basketball or great football shape. It's a different beast. And I think he is in great shape physically, but it is going to take a week or two for him to make the type of impact the Jets want, which is when he finished 4th or 5th in Defensive Player of the Year 3 years ago. So I think this weekend he'll help the pass rush. They'll get after Drake May a little bit. This will help Will McDonald a lot, a guy they would like to use about 15% less. He's been on the field a lot. They don't want him to accrue as many snaps. They look at him like kind of like Bryce Huff last year, where he's a great pass rusher, but let's not overexpend him. Where Hassan, now coming in fresh and not taking those hits over the first 6 weeks, can have a tremendous impact. Maybe not necessarily the first game or two. Well, he will have an impact, but at second half of the season, while they really hope to make a playoff push, and obviously this also hinges on the offense with Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson.
Well, thank you for joining us, Jordan. Hope you have a great weekend. Enjoy the World Series.
I can't believe you think the Yankees are going to win.
Well, now I know, since I'm Jordy Bush, as Paul says, I can't make any wagers on the World Series.
No, I need you
Paul,
to bet.
by the way,
Hey, since you're
I watched your mic'd up thing with the Celtics. It was great until you thought it was halftime. It was the end of the first quarter. I mean,
it felt like we were up 40-20. It was like we're up 20 after one quarter. I mean, geez. Easy money against these New York teams, man, I'm telling you.
All right, well, no wagers for me this weekend in terms of Major League Baseball. Because
no, bet on the Dodgers. That means the Yankees will win.
All right, I'll see you next week with my losing tickets.
All right, buddy.
We'll see you next week. Thank you, Jordan. Appreciate it. Does Aaron Rodgers have to deliver a victory against the Patriots on Sunday, Paul?
Absolutely. I mean, like yesterday, Joy, they're in must-win every week territory. You're 2-5. You have arguably the most talented roster to beat 2-5. If you don't beat the New England Patriots, then you might as well start making vacation plans, guys, because the season, I already think it's over. It'll be officially over if they don't beat the Pats. Come on now. This is must-win territory for the next 6-7 weeks in a row for them.
Aaron Rodgers already had vacation plans, though. You know, he like this.
He already made his.
You know,
Devontae Adams didn't come over. He didn't have to fly from Las Vegas
did the
to New York to make vacation
so I don't
plans.
know if he needs to revisit that.
You know, Aaron Rodgers probably got his already booked, waiting for next offseason. But in all seriousness,
Probably the week of OTAs.
It is certainly a must-win game for him. It's a lot of look, man. At the end of the day, they're a 7-point favorite, a touchdown favorite against the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
We know what New England is. New England had already switched out quarterbacks. They like, we're going to go with that young dude, Jacoby Brissett. Great. You were pinata for a few weeks for us. He got a chance to see you play. Now we want this young man to develop. The touchdown favorite. The stress level on Aaron Rodgers is at an all-time high. This might be the highest stress level for him in his entire career. You know that? Even when he had to sit behind Brett Favre for them years, because so much was put into Aaron Rodgers being the savior of the New York Jets. They didn't get him to go to the playoffs. They got him to go to the Super Bowl.
Ain't no stress level on him.
No. Why wouldn't it be?
Man, Aaron Rodgers is at the end of his career.
He don't think so.
Man, Aaron Rodgers
he don't think so.
Don't have nothing else to prove.
That may be true as far as his legacy goes, but he has a lot to prove because guess who did it? Tom Brady. Okay. He did it. Guess who else did it? Peyton Manning.
When they got older.
They did it when they got older. Even people like Joe Montana was able to leave the San Francisco 49ers and go to the Kansas City Chiefs and take them to the AFC Championship game when everybody said Joe was done, gave way to Steve Young. There's a lot of stress and ego in this situation. And Aaron Rodgers knows that you done got a coach fired, whether you did it purposely or not, you're going to get the blame. You threw your receiver underneath the bus, rolled him over, backed up, boom, then put him in the gutter. You went and got your favorite receiver in Devontae Adams. You went and got him. No, I'm serious now.
Yeah.
You wanted Hackett to be your offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
You helped him get a job in Denver, and then you didn't go to Denver. Then he gets fired. You got him hired as the OC at the Jets. Then he got replaced. You know how much stress is on Aaron Rodgers?
This is a must-win for Aaron Rodgers. He has to. I think they
Yeah.
will. I don't think this will be a
Yeah, they
close
should win.
game.
They should win
They
this
should
game.
win this game easily.
Man, if they lose this game, Lord.
But this is a
have
must-win.
mercy.
If they're 2-6 to start the season, they have to basically run the table. Like, they'd have to win 8 of their last 9 games to get to 10 wins on the season.
You must think you talking to your auntie or somebody.
Listen,
Child.
I am an auntie. I'm a generational auntie. I have a great niece. I have a niece that has a daughter. I have great nieces. So, yes, I am an auntie. And that is what I say. Child, you need to win this game. Because if they don't, they have the Texans coming up next.
Yes.
They're at the Cardinals, which is not a guaranteed win.
Well, Cardinals scare people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I told y'all that.
The Colts and the bye. Then after the bye, they have the Seahawks, Dolphins, Jacksonville, Rams, Bills, and then the Dolphins again.
That's all good teams, though, because the Dolphins might turn out to be something now that Tua's back.
Well, yeah, they have the divisional game. So this is a must-win game. I think they will win. I think they'll win easily, and then everybody will get back on the hype train. I will not be boarding.
I'm already off.
But I never consider buying a
I'm
ticket.
off, too.
Never consider buying a ticket.
When the owners start making decisions,
That's
I
when you're
can't.
out.
Yes, I'm done.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.